All right, it's time for another video here looking at kaspa, and this might go on for a little bit, so just kind of bear with me. There's a lot of interesting things going on in this chart. The first thing I want to do is look at the long range view right here. You see that we are in a nearly parallel channel, and because this first point in the channel is defined by a fairly long wick as opposed to a real body on the daily candle, it's going to be somewhat approximate. All right. So anyway, here we are in this long rising parallel channel. You can see a couple things. You can see we made a move from our lower line to our upper line, the support to resistance, and then we took a good solid, a little bit more than a month of just kind of sliding down to sideways, but mostly sliding down. Broke out just a little bit, then spent about a week and a half just kind of meandering down on top of that line that we got out over. Then we started to work our way up. We had an inverted head and shoulders pattern back here in October that kicked off that nice rally. We had another inverted head and shoulders pattern right here that also kicked off a nice rally. We came up to our line of resistance, and then for the past roughly 6 weeks we have been sliding down. I say down to sideways, and the reason I say that is because we're not actually moving down at the same rate that we did back here, but it feels worse, I think, probably because, well, nobody wanted to see it happen. So now we got a couple things to consider, and let's look at a 2-hour chart. And this is where I'm doing things maybe a little bit differently than some. I'll tell you, let's do a 4-hour. You will see that what I have on this chart is pretty much a descending channel. And if this line that we just, if this point that the low that we made this morning holds up, then this line could be adjusted a little bit, and it would actually become a bit more of a slightly wedge-shaped channel, which has some built-in bullishness into that shape. But here's where some people are interpreting this 6-week period very differently than I am. And I don't know that they're altogether wrong. We shall soon find out. I think they are. And that is, some people are looking at this and they're saying, no, that is a descending triangle where the upper line of resistance is descending and we have a straight across line of support. And now that that has broken, then we should be coming down to, if you measure it and if you believe the pattern, coming down to about 1.1, 1.2 cents. But obviously that would break our rising long-term line of resistance. And the other thing is that this triangle is at least partly being defined by some of those MEC-C scam wicks. So you look here, like on the 2nd of May, we had that long wick down. All right. We also had this long wick on what was that? The 16th, I believe, of April, or was it what day was that? April 17th. We had a long wick down. And that was something that didn't happen on all the exchanges. Now, I'm willing to say that this is a legitimate point. Okay? But I'm not sold on this. And for that reason, I am inclined to sort of define what we've seen happening over the past 6 weeks as being more of a descending channel. Now, there's a little test that you can do anytime you're looking at a chart and you see a descending channel, a wedge, or a triangle, or anything like that. And the test is, it's kind of interesting. You take a line and you put it right. Oh, why does this thing do that? Sometimes it just doesn't draw a line. You take a line and you stick it right in the middle of where the upper line of resistance and the lower line of support are. And then you look at that line and you're looking for this. You're looking to see if there's any attraction to that line. It doesn't mean you have to bounce exactly on it, but you look at it and you say, okay, does this line seem to have some influence? And you can look here and you can see we sort of wandered around on that line. Then we got above it. Then we got below it. Then we couldn't get above it. Still couldn't get, no, then we did get above it. Then we got below it, over it, bounced on it, got under it, had a little trouble getting back over it. So you can see that you can use what I call a midpoint line to test to see whether or not you're looking at an actual legitimate pattern. And if you have an alternate, I suggest you do the same thing with that. In other words, if you think this is a triangle, maybe put that line on there and do the same thing. You know what I'm saying. So anyway, looking at the chart here, the other thing that I found very interesting is you see that when we, and this is another reason why I think this is probably the right pattern, is because if you look at the pitch of the rate of descent that we have right here from resistance down to support, and there's that line right there. Well, I have cloned that line, so this line is the same pitch as that one. And if you put it here, you see, well, that's the same pitch. What if we move it back here? Well, we sort of see the same pitch there as well. So to my eye, and especially when you look at the long-range view of things, it just looks to me like this is a bull flag that's taking us from resistance to support. And we shall know pretty soon, okay? If this is a triangle, okay, this is important to hear. If my channel or bull flag is wrong, and this is a triangle, then we should not be able to get back over about I'm going to call it 2170, but it's 0.027, because that would be the line of support. Excuse me, I misspoke. 0.2, did I say 0.217? That's what I meant to say. I might not have said that. So if we're able to get over that roughly, let's just call it 0.22. If we get over 0.022, then the idea of a triangle starts to look less likely. Now let's zoom in 15 minutes. Let's see what's happened today. Well, first thing is we formed throughout a portion of yesterday and most of today, we have formed an inverted head and shoulders pattern. That purple line is the neckline. And we have broken out from that now. That inverted head and shoulders pattern carries a target, which is a minimum target, which is measured as the depth of the pattern, and then at the point of breakout. And that tells us we should be getting up to 0.0227, which would mean we would be over that level that would invalidate the triangle. Additionally, we have this yellow line here, which is a short-term line of resistance that we have gotten out over. We have broken out over it. There is a lighter yellow line right here that is longer term, still not long term, but longer term resistance, goes all the way back to the 6th of May. So it goes back about a week. And you can see we draw that line down, and guess what? The inverted head and shoulders pattern projects that we should break out over that line as well. You will also notice, perhaps, we were talking about that midpoint line and how that happens to come into play quite a bit. You see it here, you see it here, and where we have that minimum target from the inverted head and shoulders pattern, that's somewhere right about in the middle between these two lines too. So we're in a really interesting situation here. And if this is the bottom, then we will be getting over this line. So I would say getting over this semi-transparent yellow line right here, I would say that would be probably a fairly significant event if we're able to do that. And I believe we will, based upon the inverted head and shoulders pattern. Now, let's back off and let's get crazy. So, we break out, let's say this is a bull flag, and we break out over this. Do you think, and this is a question I'm asking myself and asking you, do you think we return to our line of resistance at some point down the line? If so, then at a minimum, and I mean really a minimum, because we're not going to get there in a couple of days, if we get there at all. But if we do get there, it will be more than 8 cents. And if we get there taking the same path or a similar path to what we did previously, it could be a 3-month-long journey. And if it's a 3-month-long journey, we're looking at something north of 20 cents. Again, that's not a projection. That's just saying if we remain in this channel, and if what we're seeing happening today does end up being excuse me, a significant bounce on this line, sufficient to break us out over this 6-week-long skid. So interesting stuff, guys. It really is. So hey, if you enjoyed this little video and the charting, I'm putting my KASPA address in the comments. Matter of fact, maybe I'll just even put a little note right here. Hold on. So there you go. If you enjoyed this video, see my KASPA address in the description below. I ain't proud. Hope this helps you, and I hope this keeps up, guys. I really do. We've been through a pretty good bit together here over the last few weeks. Take care.